Welcome back to what could potentially be the final game of tonight. CBA, they are on a match point, and Fuzzy Esports, they will need to fight back to potentially bring us to Silver Scrapes.
Yeah, and it's going to take a bit of a fight now. CBA have shown a lot of power picks in this game, but in this series, really. And now, Fuzzy Esports, this is where you separate the good teams from the great teams. You're down 2-1, and there's a match point for the SQ1 Champions League Spring Split Champions against you. What do you put out now? What do you play to bring yourself back into this series, to get the momentum behind you, and to bring us to that Game 5? They have to do something because right now it isn't looking good.
It definitely is not. CBA, Paulson on the Cassiopeia, Unknown Swede on Silas, Gyazo on Pike, all three of them stepping up. And even then, Vanguard and Imported Chicken didn't have bad games either. It's just that they were simply outshined by their peers. And it's tough because Fuzzy Esports, the only real carry they had this whole series was Kale. And you can make a case that CBA actually made him into a carry in that game.
Yeah, he was certainly the sixth man for CBA. And it's just, Kale on that Corky game 1, if you remember, did a great performance. But then it was almost the opposite in game 3. I felt like he got completely shut down. That Pike pick from Gyazo just cut out the Ash again and again and again with no mobility. And I feel like that's very important now for Kale to secure, is a champion that has ways to peel off for themselves. I'd love to see him on something like the Sivir, or maybe even an Ezreal to a degree. Something that can get him out of those situations where he would typically die on like an Ashe, with maybe a clutch spell shield or an arcane shift out of that. And that's kind of the big change I want to see from Fuzzy Esports. Get Kyle the Turtle on something that can slip in and out of these fights, that has some self-protection, and then have a mid-jungle duo that can invest time into shutting down Paulson before he gets to that late-game disgusting point. Because we saw him time and time again just outplay his way at the 1v1s. Just invest all your jungle pressure there, get Paulson shot out the game, leave top lane as an island with the Mundo there. I think that was a kind of a good idea, to be honest. But these two is to do the mid-jungle strategy, you need a jungler with priority. Now, the Karthus pick last game actually looked kind of clutch for a lot of it. I'll admit that. But I think overall in the composition, it just didn't really work out. And so I either want to see a draft where they draft with the Karthus pick in mind, or what they do is they just don't pick the Karthus in a composition where it is disjointed. Like, if you're going to pick it, make sure it suits the composition, because in this current meta, you can't just pick Karthus and expect him to work into every matchup, especially into a priority jungler such as Silas. However, I believe we are starting to head into the Champ Select now.
The sides do seem to be swapped, with Fuzzy Esports being now on the blue. We'll see what they can do. And most importantly of all, I want to see if the bans are going to be changing at all.
Now is Aatrox still going to get banned. Fuzzy Esports, they did stick to their guns in game 3, which did surprise me in terms of the bans. I was expecting to see one or two things we took away, but now our picks have certainly rose up for CBA. What do they want to do to deal with them? Will it be ban away? Will it be counter pick? They've tried it in game 3 and it didn't really work out. What's their answer?
I think you can leave the Akali open. You've got the first pick, and Z is a player that's very proficient on the champion. Just swap that Akali ban for something else, like the Pike. And if CBA doesn't ban the Akali, then they will leave either the Xayah or the Shen open, which I think Fuzzy Esports will also be content with getting.
I'm very happy with this Pike getting took away, though. Gyazo, especially in game 3, had a lot of roaming potential, and I think taking him off the likes of a Pike gives Kale a little bit of room to kind of breathe in the lane. He isn't gonna have this big assassin just sat on his face the whole time. At least now, if it's gonna be something that has big potential, it'll be like a Fresh or a Nautilus, which is a little bit less on the damagey side. Alleviate some pressure there, but still, that Cassiopeia haven't been banned. The Silas not been banned, and one of them is gonna have to get put through.
Silas is gonna be the final ban, which means that Kai'Sa is also open. For Vanguard and the Akali, there goes the ban from CBA. They don't want Fuzzy Esports to be getting their hands on it. But now, what is the first pick that Fuzzy Esports will go for?
Well, Akali's now took away. I think they could look for some other options for themselves. I mean, they could still go for the Cassiopeia if they really wanted to go for it. I think Zyra Khan is also a great combo, as the Zyra is locked in. And I think they want to put Gyazo on the Rakan pick again. I really like this. It's calling them out and saying, yo, go on this Rakan again. Try and take that duo away from us. Because I think Gyazo in game 1, we talked about it, he was shaky on that Rakan pick. But he's going for it again. He's saying, all right, we've had a few games of warming up on Pike now. Here we go. I'm going to prove to you guys why I'm a good Rakan.
Rakan, and now Sejuani is the hover. It's a very likely pick. That's why I'm going to start talking about it. Just because Unknown Swede, it's, you know, part of his big three, I feel like, is the Sejuani, Jarvan, and Hecarim throughout the split. Of course, now Silas towards the end of it. So the big four, I should say. But it's a solid jungler throughout the whole of 2019 and locking it in a potentially ending game for CBA.
And I like this Morgana as well. We've known that CBA wants to play a lot of engage, and I feel like the Xayah Morgana do have a lot of tools to deflect the aggression. The Morgana Black Shield, the Xayah Blade Caller, there's a lot of ways to get around it, but that Sai, I feel you, man. That's a blind pick Renekton again.
Poppy is open. I would be surprised if CBA don't go for it, although maybe it could be Fuzzy just calling out the bluff and saying, if you look in Poppy, we're gonna ban away the Cassiopeia and something else. That could be what they are going for here.
But what I also like is if they try and force the Poppy pick here, the damage is not there of a Poppy Sejuani Rakan. The Ken I like a lot more because from the list of things you've got a more tanky jungler now, not the damage that Speed was putting out on Silas, and also it's not on a Pike but on a Rakan, so also slightly less damage in that position, so you needed more damage from somewhere, and the mid-game team fighting of a Kennen with a slicing motion will do that great for you.
Right, and now we're jumping over into the second phase of the bans, with Olaf being the first. Targeted against Hopper. Cassiopeia, finally, Paulson is not gonna be playing the champion. That being said, things like Vladimir are still open, and I know that, you know, picking Vladimir isn't as strong as he used to be, but in this comp that CBA are going for, it could work pretty well.
It could work, but then they need a big damage source, 80 damage source from Vanguard. I like the Cassiopeia and the Rise, but when we took away Paulson going to be on something new. But one thing I want to point out, this Renekton not necessarily top lane. It could be fake split lane. Now, I don't think it will be, because, I mean, Bumblebee likes the pick a lot. It's one of his favourite picks, and I don't think Z's a huge Renekton player. But keep that in mind. We still don't really know. We don't know about scrims. We never know what they've been planning. I do like Lucian coming in from Vanguard here as this aggressive pick again, trying to punish the Xayah Morgana. But it does mean they're lacking a bit in late game teamfight damage. And I imagine Paulson is going to want to be that guy. However, he's going to be facing up against a scaling carrier, I like to think, and that's going to be the Corki. So Paulson, if he wants to go scaling, Z's going to be very happy handshaking that lane.
Alright, and the jungler is the last pick for Fuzzy Esports. They would need some tank, and we mentioned Mundo in the jungle. Sejuani is no longer that highly threatening duelist. And this now makes much more sense for Fuzzy Esports.
Oh, it certainly does. And the Mundo clear speed is blitzing. It's hugely fast. You're going to see it in this game. The guy that goes through camps like I don't know what. Now, he does get very low, and I wouldn't be surprised even with Sejuani to see Unknown Swede try and push up into the enemy jungle. But Paulson, here's his counter pick here, and he's going to be opting for that Vladimir that you were on about. Another late game team fighting scaler. But now I look at the composition of CBA, and I see a Dr. Mundo on the enemy team, and a Renekton. And I think, if they just build MR, what happens? Because Vanguard isn't going to be a tank shredder.
Definitely not, but what we saw from CBA so far in the series is they play around that early snowball, and if they snowball, their mid game will be utterly unstoppable. You just cannot deal with a Kennen and a Vladimir and a Lucian if you are behind, and so Fuzzy Esports, they're going to be playing under pressure in the sense that they cannot fall behind. They need to be at the very least even for their Mundo to be a big target. And I'm just thinking because the Corki and Renekton aren't swapping.
Yep, they are not, and it's going to be locked in now. Renekton in the mid lane into this Vladimir, and I love this. Going the Ignite, going aggressive versus Poulsen, but this time, instead of it being a Zed that can be punished very well by the Cassiopeia, Vladimir doesn't have as much punish potential, and Renekton will very likely take over this mid lane if he has anything to say about it. And the difference is, Unknown Swede, a lot more access to this mid lane means that Z could get punished if he tries to overextend. But also top lane, keep in mind, this is now a Corki into a Kennen. The Kennen usually thrives when he has a range advantage against his laner, poking him down, getting Klepto procs. You're not going to do that versus a Corki, because he has your range.
Alright, is that an ingenious swap from Fuzzy Esports, or will it be the final nail in their coffin? I guess we'll have to find out. I'm excited to see what will happen, just because Fuzzy Esports, they are now against the wall. If they lose here, they go into the third place match, which is not ideal for them, but they're still fighting. I'm not calling anything as we're going over to Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, we're on the Rift now, and I honestly really like the draft from Fuzzy Esports. I'm really a fan. Now, it has a few abusable points. I think if Unknown Swede has a good performance, Bumblebee will get shut down, Z will get shut down, and it'll already be only Calato and Necro Mercer who become huge threats. But overall, I think Fuzzy Esports, they have a lot of opportunities to get ahead this lane, and mid to late game, I also favor them. I mean, they have a Corki Xayah backline with a Mundo as the front line and Morgana to protect them. Like, that's a great setup. And while sure, Kennen and Vladimir will destroy your backline, Corki and Xayah, very slippery. I think they could get out of those situations very, very nicely. And once again, it comes down to damage sources as well. OG Post and Imported Chicken both going to be AP damage users, unless we're looking at what it is, actually, now that I look at it, possibly a split push Kennen build with the PTA and going to the AD build. But I imagine if Hopper were just to stack mostly magic resist, then it'd mean that Paulson becomes kind of useless, and that could become a huge problem for him, because he's thrived on having that late game pressure as the mages.
No one went for any early wards. I mean, the two junglers are, of course, much slower paced than what we were used to in the series, but it could indicate a game that is a bit, maybe slower. Both teams not really being worried about the jungler because they aren't really planning to push it out, or if you are CBA, then Hopper, he doesn't really have that much ganking potential either. So we are in for a different kind of early game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be refreshing. But keep your eyes on this Mundo right now, because he's cleared his Krugs, he's cleared his red buff, he's already on the Raptors, whereas look at Sejuani just finishing the Krugs right now. So if you're looking at clear speed, Mundo will have that in spades. Now the difference is, as I talked about earlier, is a little bit lower on sustain. So whilst Unknown Speed is sat here on very high health bar, Hopper's sat on like 200 health.
That is very true, and I feel like Hopper, he's just going to clear his jungle. Ganks are unlikely. Not only you are a Mundo without any hard engage, if you look at the lanes you have to gank, they aren't really that easy. You've got a Kennen, Vladimir, Lucian, and a Rakan. Good luck.
Yeah, I have to dive potential from CBA with those champions, very much huge threat for people like Cali and Mombi, but this time, instead of it being an Ashe who didn't really have many peel tools available, you got Xayah with her ultimate, you've got Corki with the special delivery. Like, there are a lot of ways for them to get out of the fights, alongside a Morgana with a Black Shield. Like, the backline is certainly vulnerable, but it isn't, like, instantly dead as soon as Paulson arrives, you know what I mean? Whereas I think last game, as soon as that hook landed, Kale was just out every single time.
Yeah, I definitely do see your point, and what I do want to actually throw back to, okay, that was a gank attempt, Z just slices away, but the last time these teams faced off in the regular season, because I believe the last game was, I think it was an FF coming in from Fuzzy Esports, but the one time they did play, Kale was playing Xayah, and he was absolutely monstrous, racking something like 11 kills and 1 death. But then CBA still went on to win the game. That was a very interesting match if you do want to watch that. Probably don't recommend it, especially if you have that series to watch instead. However, Cal is playing a Zaya. He's now playing into the Lucian. If he ever gets ahead, then there will never be a point in the game where Vanguard will be stronger than Kali. That is so much potential in that AD carry pick. But we're now focusing on the mid lane. The Permafrost keeps Z in place. And that's going to be a forced recall, most likely.
And Unspeed very much aware that if this Renekton is allowed to do stuff in this lane, it could be bad. They want to get Pulse into that mid-late game point, so they're going to keep sitting mid, keep putting pressure down, and making sure that Z doesn't have the kill pressure that he wants. And that means that he's going to be behind in experience thanks to those ganks. He won't have the level 6 power spike on Pulson, and it means that all-in potential will be lacking.
Alright, 5 minutes in, still absolutely nothing has happened. All the summoners intact. No real... Okay, there are some CS advantages, and you can see them in mid lane and in the bot lane now being slightly equalized.
And it is a very, very even game right now. Both teams playing out quite nicely, and my question is to you is that who do you think, I know you're the play, but who do you think actually wins out if they were to just handshake all these lanes and go even?
I actually feel like Fuzzy Esports, just because of the type of comp they have, where, I mean, Z is going to build tanky later on, right? And Hopper is obviously a tank. You've got two marksmen with a Morgana, you can just play front to back, and if Paulson doesn't make it into backline, which is a very huge if, but I'm going to assume it for my argument's sake, then Fuzzy Esports will have a better time in the late game, considering that Imported Chicken went for that PTA, so he won't have that huge slicing maelstrom.
And now, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of what happened, and Paulson has a very... Look at the CS lead now in the mid lane. Now, I do think that's mainly thanks to the fact that Unspeed ganked twice, which is always an unfortunate situation if you are on the other side of the ganks, but I have to say, Z's had a good job dealing with the pressure, but for early levels, certainly some of Vladimir's weakest, and he's been able to get through with them, relatively unscathed. In fact, with a little bit of a lead for himself. So, going well for him. However, updates on the other matchups, the Lucian Rakani, we were expecting to get very far ahead because, Vanguard's Lucian is something that's expected to be far ahead in the early game. Hasn't had that yet. He is a gank.
Yeah, there were good vision, good words already laid down by the ball lane of Fuzzy Esports. They see it coming far ahead and are able to react accordingly. Good play by them as now Bumblebee stand up in top lane by Imported Chicken. It's just back and forth trading all the time. Hopper power farming in his jungle. You can see 53 to 40, which is exactly what Mundo is going to do.
Yeah, it's what you expect, and plus Unspeed's had a little bit of extra pressure across the map that hasn't meant a huge amount in this game so far. Mundo that's his third clearing of the Crone camp already at 7.5 minutes, maximizing the amount of farm he's going to be able to get there. And it's great because Hopper right now acknowledges the fact that he isn't looking to be an early game carry.
Oh, flash binding, it connects onto Vanguard, first blood picked up by Necromancer.
And that's huge. Lucian needs to have early leads to function as a champion. If you shut him down in the early game, Vanguard will be useless later on in this game. The replay coming in now, and Vanguard he doesn't have his support around. What is he doing stepping up that far? Has no mana himself either. No dueling prowess. Necromancer. Great flash binding alongside the Ignite. There he goes.
Why the hell was this guy playing Yuumi this series?
I don't know. I mean, Yuumi seems to be a power pick that Fuzzy Esports have a lot of priority on. Maybe it's more because they don't want to play against it. Is possibly an option they're looking at, but Yasuo not having much pressure himself. Vanguard overextending crucially, but CBA still pressuring this dragon. Question is, will we be able to secure it when Necromancer get the steal? Probably not.
Very unlikely. It would have been a huge misplay by Unknown Swede, if anything else, with the smite and just the tormented soil to threaten the steal, if you can even call it that. So now the kill does go over to Necromancer. Kind of unlucky doesn't go into Kale, but you've got the Moby boots. We saw Gyatso be all over the map last time. With the Morgana, you could do the same.
Exactly, and one thing I also want to touch on, top lane going quite well for Bumblebee right now, despite the fact he's the more scaling champion. Paulson needs to be a little bit careful, probably
That's
gonna
a
have to
flash.
pull.
Z, he goes for the kill. That was calculated damage if I've ever seen it. Sanguine Pool, flash, all available. Paulson doesn't get to use them.
And that's so important because this time the Lucian who's supposed to be early falls behind, but it's the Renekton who needs to be early that is getting ahead. Flashes forward with the Ignite, secures the kill, and they're now going to be able to secure some platings for themselves. Unknown Swede, he's ganked about 2-3 times now and has been yet to secure even a flash. Instantly, as soon as Hopper ganks, he's able to secure a kill for his laner and I believe and also a plating.
Yeah, Hopper is just sticking around getting as many plays as he can. That is 3 plates.
Oh my god.
I would assume the last one probably went just to Hopper, but the gold swing is huge. Fuzzy Esports, 2,500 gold ahead at 10 minutes. And at the beginning of the series, I said early game wasn't going to be that important in this series. I feel like if this happens for the 4th game, well, I've been proven wrong.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you have to keep in mind, early game doesn't matter if you can't mid-game transition. You have to be able to convert your snowballing gold lead into objectives, and that's now the challenge for Fuzzy Esports. They have a lead, and it's actually the first time I believe they've had an early game lead all series. So the question is now, what do they do with it? Do they want to roam people melee like we're seeing Necromancer do right now? Do they want to try and take over Rift Herald? Do they want to push for towers? That's the big question now, because they have the lead, it's how they use it.
Definitely, yes. Unknown Swede, he's recalling the Glacial Prison. Just short of Necromancer. He doesn't need to use anything, he's just walking out of that one.
And that's a big waste of time, because not only have you secured that cooldown from Unknown Swede for a little bit, you block his recall. Look where Mundo is on the map. He's clearing even more camps, and he's also on the right side of the map for this Rift Herald. Slicing Mushroom's used, but nothing really. He just gets the
well, important chicken, he's still going for the trade. He's got the Bilge Water Catalyst, which means his auto attacks will do some damage. Here comes Hopper, he's looking for the kill. Good flash away from the cleaver. Important chicken will stay alive.
Well, but that flash being back going to be so important next time a play is made in this top lane. Hopper really not scared of important chicken either. Also feeling a bit of global pressure. A lot of pressure going down to the solo lanes here from the side of Fuzzy Esports, not able to secure much over than a single flash. But I am liking the pressure they're applying. It's very important that they do so.
Paulson still has all of his summoners. He didn't get to use them last time, which means now he can get out. And Fuzzy Esports do respect it. They know, alright guys, Vladimir has got everything. We should probably not overcommit. And they back out from the play.
Indeed, and now starting to secure some vision around this river. There's nothing in here for the side of CBA. They have no wards around that kind of bot lane, or I think even top lane river. So it's free kind of walking about for the support of Necromancer, able to make these roams happen completely unwarded. So it means that OG Paulson has to play even safer in this mid lane, because he knows that if he overextends, that very much could be a Morgana sitting in that lane bush.
Even though Necromancer is in base, there is no vision, what you mentioned. You just don't have that sort of information for the side of CBA. Now they are the ones falling behind, and you asked the question of how Fuzzy Esports will be able to snowball it. The question that I'm interested in is, how will CBA deal with being behind?
And there's not many times CBA have really been that far behind. However, one thing I heard about them before the series, 5k gold ahead, 5k gold behind, it comes down to the late game. Now, CBA right now, I don't feel that the late game is that strong compared to Fuzzy Esports. So, sure, I think they still have some edges in terms of execution. If they can get Polson and Chicken onto the backline, all of a sudden the game changes. But Fuzzy Esports, if they set it up correctly, if they execute the competition as they should, this should be, a nice late game victory. Now, obviously, we're 13.5 minutes in here. it's nowhere near over. These next few fights are going to be so important in the mid game.
Oh no, Paulson, he goes down to the pool. The quickness coming out as well as the teleport CBA. They're looking for the fight, and they're gonna get it already. The first kill, second one coming through. That's the third one. CBA are just winning the fight. There's gonna be one back picked up by Bumblebee, but CBA are pushing through. Paulson kills Z. That's a 4-for-1 fight. Looking to make it a fifth one. Bumblebee forced to flash over the wall, and just like that, CBA turned the game around.
And it's a 5v4 for the majority of that fight. The teleports are huge going in there, but Bumblebee still applying a bit of pressure onto this dragon, trying to secure a kill, or possibly a steal. But you can't disrespect. Why are you going? Well, first of all, why are you going in on Paulson there? You know he has pool, and you see it here, right? Look at the 2 people or 3 people coming down from CBA down the bottom side of this fight. You need to turn on them, but they don't. They try and go on Paulson. They know it doesn't work, and then the teleport comes in, and it's all of a sudden a 5v4. The teleport just came in a little bit late from the Corgi here, and it means that by the time Corgi arrives in this fight, 3 members are dead. It doesn't matter where he is in this fight. And sure, able to secure 1 kill at the end of it, but I don't think that means much. The grand scheme of things is now CBA, they're the ones with the gold lead.
I got my question answered. What happens when CBA are behind? They just stop being behind.
Yeah, very much so, and it's the mid-game decision-making that has edged CBA out in this series so far. They've been a lot more cleaner in their fights past that game 1, which I was quite vocal about. They have been very good at, you know, playing them out, and I feel like there has to be a little bit of a worry. I feel like for Esports, seem to tunnel in on Paulson very, very hard. We saw it in the Cassiopeia games 2 and 3, and now we're seeing it in Vladimir game 4. And the difference is Cassiopeia being quite a vulnerable pick, it's still fair enough. But this is a Vladimir. He has pool available. You can't just jump on him and expect to kill him. That isn't how it works.
And the Herald being the focal point. CBA. One more game will get them to the finals. Fuzz Esports cannot make any mistakes in terms of the game, since one loss here will send them to the 3rd place decider, which is, you know, not something that these players are hoping for. They will secure the Herald at the cost of the bowling first turret.
I would probably call not worth on that. But
well, that mid lane turret is definitely now worth for CBA, but what about the upcoming fight? Imported Chicken already had blown his. Slicing Maelstrom and Fuzzy Esports do not find anything.
Oh, look at the flank here coming in from Vanguard down the bottom side of this fight.
That's the stun onto Necromercer. He flashes out. He's gonna stay alive for the time being. Z on the backline. He's trying to get Vanguard. He is not able to. Unknown Sweet picks the kill up. Vanguard dashes away to safety. The Herald is gonna be killed. And it's all falling apart for Fuzzy Esports.
It really is these teams.
Great binding onto Imported Chicken, but is it enough? Paulson in the backline, it's a double for Bumblebee. He's still alive. Kale kills Paulson, and Fuzzy Esports strike again.
I feel like every single time I say, "Oh, what does this team do in this situation? It's not looking good." Each team fires back and says, "No. This is our game to win." Bumblebee 3-0-1 on this Corki, and it seems like it's a good pick a good fortune for Fuzzy Esports here, as he also has the Triforce in the Executioner's Calling. Now, with Carol, in my opinion, bit in here. Once again, they're going super deep. Look at Cat of the Turtle so far for Paulson there, but they don't have vision on the backside of this fight, and so Z unable to secure the kill onto Vanguard because his team's not there to support him. And CBA do a great job at deflecting a lot of the pressure from the big clump up of Fuzzy Esports, but the fight continues and they overextend a little bit. CBA. They see the win in their sights. Popper goes in, but he's very tanky in this window, even right now at level 11. And keep your eyes on Bumblebee here, able to get so much damage with the Gatling gun down, and just great play overall from this Corki. And once again, it's the Corki who ends up being the vocal point for Fuzzy Esports, because right now 3-0-1 has the Triforce, has the Executioner's Calling. He is the big damage member.
Now he survived Imported Chicken. The Slicing Maelstrom is now up. The slow from the Blade of the Ruined King. Imported Chicken. He's going in. The stuns are piling up. That's a shutdown being picked up by top laner of CBA.
You know, I don't feel like these teams like us being right.
I don't think they do.
Every time they make a statement, it just goes the complete other way. But I'm perfectly fine with that because it makes a much more exciting game. So what we're going to say here is that great little hide in the bush there, and good patience as well from Important Chicken to wait for the right moment to catch out Bumblebee. And because of the movement speed that Kevin has available, he's able to make that chase happen.
This could go so wrong for Fuzzy Esports. Vanguard TPs in, kills the Hoppers, the next target. He has the flash, he's not gonna use it. Instead, Gyazo picks the kill up. And that's CBA, 2,000 gold in the lead. This game is all over the place once again, but it's CBA controlling the chaos.
It is indeed, and now got another replay on this one, and they go in on the Vladimir. But once again, you're going in on a Vladimir with pool. Stop doing this. It's not going to work. And then a TP comes down from Vanguard, Gyazo arrives, and you lose 2 kills. It just feels like Fuzzy Esports are tunneling so hard and trying to shut down this Vladimir pick, when it's a hard pick to shut down in the first place. Focus on trying to get picks onto people like Vanguard. He's an incredibly exploitable champion there. Or maybe even go and try and deal with a side lane, get Chicken out of the game. But it feels like they're trying to kill Paulson and punish him. Fair enough. But you can't just do that against a Vladimir. It's not going to work.
Paulson, he might not be hard carrying this game, but he's definitely contributing to his team. 1, 2, and 6. He's playing the support role, but I don't think CBA will be too concerned. The Baron is now up. 20 minutes in, Fuzzy Esports against the wall. They are struggling in this game 4. And CBA, it feels like they can just reach the finals. It's one more play, just get the Baron, and you could be done with it. But of course, Fuzzy Esports will do everything they can to prevent it from happening.
Oh, they will indeed. They still have the tools to do so, like Corky touched on that earlier. But also, the Xayah at a decent point in the game right now has that Essence Reaver available alongside the BF Sword and the pickaxe. I mean that, Kale's nothing to slouch at either. And as you mentioned, in the time they met in the regular season, Kale on this Xayah was a huge pickup. So I imagine this won't be like, 1-1-3 the whole game. I'm expecting good things out of Kale the Turtle on this pick. We'll just see if he's able to make it happen. Now, the mid game is kind of in full swing here. But Vanguard, he's 2-2-4, but he's going to start falling off soon. However, Unknown Swede, 3-0-3 on this Sejuani, having a great performance. But Chicken taking control of the side lane very well with his build. And Paulson, I imagine, will start becoming that late game threat that we expect him to be soon enough.
He's got the double needlessly large rods. The moment it turns into a hat, that's when Paulson is gonna be doing exactly what we expect of Vladimir to do. Necromancer in a lot of trouble. The Glacial Prison perfectly hidden over the wall from an Unknown Swede. And now CBA, they're falling forward. That's a beautiful engage from Gyazo. It's a double for Paulson. Z's running away. There will be no redemption. Triple kill for CBA's mid laner as Bumblebee running away. Imported Chicken is going forward. Bumblebee turns it around, but it does not matter because CBA still get 4 kills in top lane.
Yeah, it does not matter now. CBA, they've got their eyes on a very important objective, and it is that Baron buff. You talked about it a few minutes ago. They get the Baron buff, and they get to the finals. And you know what? It is certainly in their grasp now. OG Paulson having a great performance. What I want to key in on, he has been part of 11 of the 13 kills that CBA have had, despite the fact that all of this focus is actually headed towards him from Hopper and Z. And the fact that he's been able to come out of that lane ahead in the end, very, very impressive. And
Gyazo just redeemed his game 1 mechanic right here.
He did. Great engagement from him. He's actually, despite that game 1 performance, I feel like game 3 and especially this game, had a great performance himself, had a lot of pressure, and really shown a good performance where I was questioning game 1 and 2, is this guy really the big deal?
Now he is. The Baron buff picked up by CBA. This game going so similar to games 2 and 3, to the demise of Fuzzy Esports. They need to find something, and they will need to find it soon. The next dragon is an Infernal in 1 minute and 35 seconds. Still a while, but it's so damn far away if you are Fuzzy Esports.
You know what? I really feel like now you want to put Renekton in the side lane. Melee doesn't have teleport, which might be a bad idea, but at the same time, I feel like if you don't have Bumblebee in these fights, you just lose them. Like, you need him there. And right now, he doesn't have the teleport. What's he doing in top lane when really your action's going to be looking middle bot lane? It's like, he needs to be in these fights in order for them to work out.
Tier 2 mid is the target for CBA with the Baron buff. It will get a lot of damage. That's a good binding to Unknown Swede. It just chunks him down a bit, but that Warmogs will mean that about now he's back to full health. That's how they're binding Necromancer. He's the target. Hopper is gonna try and run through the backline. The Morgana is down. Vanguard kills him with the calling. The Glacial Prison goes wide. Featherstone from Kale. He's still slowed. Hopper is very tanky in the front line. Charmed up, knocked up with the Grand Entrance. Look at all the damage. He's nearly down. That's Vanguard securing the kill. It's 2 over for the side of CBA. Vanguard over the wall. He picks the double. He kills Kale. He's gonna drop down to Bumblebee though, who cashes in on the shutdown. CBA a 3-for-1 fight.
A 3-for-1 fight, but it's not going to be the game over yet. However, Imported Chicken, he wants an inhibitor for himself, and I imagine he'll be able to secure it. But Z and Bumblebee have something else to say. And it feels like for the Esports, they're starting to lose. I say they're starting to. They have lost their grasp on this game. For now, they need to play a reactive style, try and punish mistakes. But they do have a light at the end of the tunnel, and that is Bumblebee. He's 5-1-1 on this Corki. A huge threat, and Imported Chicken needs to be careful. He's getting an inhibitor, but
takes the inhib. He's gonna die, but I'm calling it worth for the side of CBA. And let's take a look at this replay once again.
Yeah, so as you see here, Hopper, despite the fact he uses this window, still isn't far ahead enough to be able to have the tank stats to survive. Vanguard gets the kill, but then Kale caught out here by so much damage, and Vanguard survives for so long. He's did a great performance.
I believe that right now CBA have just picked up their second Infernal Dragon. And we said that late game, yes, it's gonna be even. Well, it's not gonna be even if Vladimir has got the death cap on 2 Infernals. Paulson is going to become disgusting. And even though right now it's Vanguard's and Imported Chicken's shows, believe me, Paulson is gonna take it fairly soon.
I mean, he's 4-2-8. You can't really say he hasn't took it. He's had a great performance so far. I mean, over the series, Paulson's been such a consistent pillar for CBA. It's constantly relying on. Same with Unknown Speed. I feel like both those, that mid-jungle duo has been so crucial because every single game they've been able to hold their own, I'd say. In terms of priority and, you know, securing leads to themselves, putting the pressure in the places they need to be. And now, you know, 26 minutes into their match point game, it's looking like CBA, they're in the driver's seat. They should be able to secure a few teamfight wins, but crucially, they need to secure those wins first. And they need to get past people like Bumblebee first. They don't kill Bumblebee in these fights. We saw in the back end of the last fight, he is able to secure those kills very, very well. Now, we do want to keep an eye on though. The inhib wave is pushing into the top lane. The big thing is getting pressured by 4 members of CBA. Then you have Imported Chicken split pushing down in the bot lane. That's 3 different different areas of pressure for CBA to use, and eventually the base will crack if a player.
Oh my goodness, Hopper, he pops down. The ultimate isn't enough. No, Vanguard picks the kill up with the calling, and now see, here's the next target. He flashes out. He's going to drop. Yasuo dies, and Bumblebee is down. Khaled, the only carry alive. Can he hold it for Fuzzy Esports? I don't think it's enough. CBA, they're pouring into the base. The Nexus in their sights. Khaled, he's the only guy alive. The inhibitors are here. Gyazo dashing forward. Imported Chicken, he's going away. Kale, can he grasp this game? Can he hold it? That's the engage from Unknown Speed. The knockout, Grand Entrance. That's the ace. CBA, they have done it. The death timers are just going to be too damn long. Z up in 30 seconds. And CBA, it's going to be a 3-1 win. But after 28 minutes in the game 4, they're looking for the Nexus. They are still trying to pay their KDAs. Come on, just end the game. And CBA make it to the finals against Orthrus Gaming.
And you know what? For a second, after that game 1 happened, I was like, ooh, SQ1 champions, could they be faltering here? But no, they want to retain that trophy, and what a performance they have put out to show it. Game 1, a slight bit of weakness, but instantly they hit back with that right hook, knock out Fuzzy Esports, 3-1. and it was a dominating performance there from CBA in the end. They are still on the road to defending their championships. Obviously, commiserations to Fuzzy Esports. The playoff berth very nearly was there for themselves, but unfortunately, their momentum got a little bit hampered by running into the champions. So they're going to be fighting it out for the third place match now. But eyes on this final now. It's going to be so exciting.
It's going to be nuts. CBA versus Orthrus Gaming, by far the top two teams we have in this split. And even though OG were taken to the distance and CBA wasn't, like, that's going to be the best series we've had so far. Of course, Fuzzy Esports, they will be playing in that third place decider, and that will be happening next Monday 9th, so you can also watch that. But I mean, what a next week we have.
Oh man, I'm so excited for that final. It's going to be such a close series. I can only dream, really. Imagine that at 5 games. Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. But I mean, not much more to say. CBA, they have shown us what I didn't want to see, just because I really wished for it to be the close series, but at the same time I'm happy to see it, because it proves everything that I thought about CBA. They are this really solid team that can be put in a variety of different situations, and they will find a way to win this game.
Yeah, and it's down to them having very reliable players. Players like Paulson, players like Unknown Swede, Imported Chicken as well. Essentially the whole roster, I'd say, fairly consistent. The only area of weakness, I'd say, can sometimes be that bot side, but at the same time, there can also be the point of carry potential. We've seen it many a times where Vanguard's popped off, and Giazzo on that Pike game 2 and game 3 forced the ban out. He had a great performance on that pick. So overall, I mean, there are so many threatening members on CBA that I think if you are Orthrus Gaming, you're looking at the series, you're kind of just like, well, you're getting a little bit worried, because there are so many power picks now for CBA. How do you prepare for them? How do you take these on? Because you saw picks like the Cassiopeia, like the Pike, like the Silas, all were huge threats. How would you deal with them, Orthrus Gaming? That's the question here that will be carried on to the finals.
It will be carried on to the finals, but you know what, actually, just before we end this series, we don't usually do it, but talking about who would you say is the MVP of this series for you?
Oh, I think it has to be between Paulson and Unknown Swede. I think they both had incredibly consistent performances. I think the individual outplays were obviously more in Paulson's favor. I think you can name a huge amount of moments during the series where he's popped off. But also, Unknown Swede, I feel like, a little bit understated, but has been a hero in a lot of these games, you know. His map movements where he's been pressuring, it feels like he's always been in the right place at the right time. So I feel like whilst OG Paulson had a great performance, I'm going to put my MVP over to Unknown Swede. I think he's had a fantastic performance over all these games, and he deserves the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, it's not official. You guys can say your opinion. I think Paulson, just because of his Cassiopeia performance, and then also last game on the Vladimir, he played really well. Honorable mention is Giazzo. Apart from game 1, he looked really solid in the 3 games that CBA won. But I think that will sum it up for this week of the playoffs. The semi-finals are over. Just to recap, the finals are between actually CBA and Orthrus Gaming, whereas the third place match will be between Fuzzy Esports and the Vaptrox Academy. Both insane matches, so do not miss them. They will happen on 9th of September at 7 p.m. European time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time. It will be the third place match. And then the day after, same time, on this Twitch channel, it will be the final. Do not miss that. You can follow us on Twitter to make sure you will get the notification. But for tonight, that's gonna be it. So have a good one.